Hey guys, welcome back. Randy Gage here, and this is another edition of Chopping It Up with ... And this particular episode is Chopping It Up with Flacco, also known as Erick Gamio, who is one of the brilliant visionary people in our profession. For those who are new to the channel, it's not an interview. It's Erick and I having the conversation, and you get to eavesdrop in on it. I don't interview him. He doesn't interview me. We're just talking about this, what's going on in the space of leverage sales, network marketing, personal development, daily routines, success tips, maybe books that are amazing us, or programs, seminars we're doing, whatever. So that's it. My friend Flacco, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Randy. I'm so excited because I love this kind of conversations, that are not scripted. You don't know what I'm gonna say. I don't know what you're gonna say, which topics we're gonna embark on, and I hope we don't get so controversial that we have to edit this stuff.
Well, I can guarantee you that won't happen, because however controversial we'll get, I'm not editing it. So they will live with what they live with. They don't like it, they just click the off button. It's that simple.
Great art divides people, and we're creating art, man. So if somebody doesn't hate what we're saying, we're not doing our job.
So speaking of art and entrepreneurs as art, what's your thought of the state of the profession right now? How's your vibe? How do you feel about what's happening in this space right now?
I think it's like everything is cyclical, it keeps happening all over again. I've been in the profession for 17 years. You've been in the profession for like 100, since the Wild West with Avon, I don't know. But what I've seen in the past, 17 years, is that we have every 5 years a new thing, And I remember it was the travel cards and those kind of things in the 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that was the distraction. Nothing wrong with tourism. Is doing tourism with network marketing. Okay, all those companies died. Then again, 3-4 years later, in 2012, 13, it was the advertising in the internet. All these sick rewards and all this, they went away. Now it's blockchain, it's crypto with network marketing. Again, two things like water and oil trying to mix together. I don't have anything against water or against oil, but they don't go together. So I'm just today I was rescuing a 50 to almost 80 people from a company that just a couple of months ago, actually we talked about this because you have an ex-friend, and that was pushing that company, and I'm rescuing those guys in Ecuador, in Argentina, So again, one of those things, those implosions,
It's, as you know, Jaime Lokier and I have started a site called duplicationnation.com. And then we're doing a newsletter, actual monthly newsletter called MLM Confidential. And a big impetus for that is these distractions that come around. Like you say, they're just cycles. And because people say, like literally today, literally yesterday, you will never believe this. I'm on the phone with a client who wants to open a direct selling company. So he's hiring me to help him with the project. So he's taken me through, and he puts me through 87 slides. And I keep saying, okay, I got it. Tell me what's the business plan. Tell me, how does the business plan? I'm getting there. Let me show you. I've got this. And he kept showing me slides of this, I'm going to say, product that he wants to sell, but it's not really It's not really a product.
The excuse.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, you gotta get, no, I'm getting there, I'm getting there. So he goes to 87 slides and he says, okay, that's phase one. Now let me explain phase two. And I said, time out. This was not fucking phase one. There was no phase, nothing. You just showed me 87 slides and I kept of what you have in your warehouse that you want to sell, that you're calling a product, compatible for direct selling, but that's not a business plan. So you can't say that was phase one. Okay, I'm just putting that out there. So a little later in the conversation, he says, we could be the next Zeek Rewards. We could have 700,000 people in 6 months with this thing. I'm like, did you really just say to me that you want to benchmark a pyramid scheme that collapsed? Is that really what I just heard? And he said, well, we don't need to do it like they did it. They did it the illegal way. We can do it the legal way, but we could be the next Seek Rewards. We could have 700,000 people in 6 months. And I just, it's like, because he says, all right, I like this. I want to sell this. There's no law that says I can't make a profit when I sell this. And of course, I'm being very obscure because I have confidentially, people have to know when they hire me and they talk to me that I'll keep their business private and, give them the best advice, and I'm not going to put them in legal jeopardy or give their stuff to competitors. So I don't want to say his name or his product line, but he's got a proposition that wouldn't work legally. And that's what he said. Well, there's no law that says I can't make money on this. And what I have to explain to him that you had to do probably yesterday as you were talking to that group, and I have to do with Jaime in this newsletter as we're, trying to inoculate people against these scams, is explain, like, we have what we call buyers clubs here in the US. One is called Sam's Wholesale Club. Costco is another one. So you pay a membership and now you're a member and you can buy products at wholesale. Perfectly legal. Absolutely no problem. If you want to start a buyer's club, you can do that. But when you take a buyer's club and you attach a multi-level compensation plan to it, you've now crossed the line and you're an illegal pyramid. Exactly. Because the regulators are going to say, this is a closed buying structure. People who are not qualified for a commission check can't buy it. Yeah. So the last person who joins the club would have no opportunity to make profit because it only is sold to people in the club. Exactly. That's what they don't get. So, and the other issue, we've had the travel scams because, again, there's nothing wrong with selling travel. Wonderful. But they weren't really selling travel. They were selling websites that sold travel, a very expensive, overpriced website. And you made your money by selling the website. In essence, it's a camouflage headhunter fee. Same thing when the people were selling you $20,000 worth of fiber cookies or $20,000 worth of water filters. It was just a way to camouflage the headhunter fee. And then the third thing that nobody thinks about is, okay, and this is where he was going to get into trouble, is the area of securities and investment advice and financial planning. Because he was showing how they would buy this product for a certain amount, and then they would, the value would, the value of the investment would go up. And I'm like, your people are not licensed investment advisors. And that's where the regulators are going to come in, and they're going to say, And this is the problem with all these MLM shit coins. You know,
Yeah.
they're selling securities, they're selling investments, they're selling, you know, like there's people who sell insurance in our business. But you know what? The people who do, those people have to go get licensed as insurance brokers, right?
Exactly.
And the problem with these MLM, you know, you were being very generous when you said blockchain. Okay. There's no fucking blockchain with those companies. Okay. None. There is
None.
in other words, when you have a blockchain, you have this visible public code that people can see makes that blockchain secure. You publish a white paper. Well, what somebody found out is that they could create fake white papers and sell them on Elance for $50. And so now every clown who wants to start an MLM crypto goes to Elance and, you know, pays $50 and says, this is our white paper. This is the blockchain. We've created our own token and we're only printing 2 trillion of them. They're all worth $500 right now. We could tell you already by next year, they're going to be worth $1,000. 2 years after that, they're going to be worth $50 million each. All, you know, and does the average person know anything about a blockchain? Could even me, right? I wrote in 2012, I wrote Risky is the New Safe, and I was talking about cryptocurrencies when no one was talking about it, and people thought I was crazy. I'm pretty knowledgeable about, I'm not, you know, I don't make any pretense. I'm a high school dropout. I'm not an engineer. My gift is I look at how technology is applied for the layperson. What's the market viability? How can, you know, what is the actual potential of this market? How would you explain it in website copy or a video or a one-on-one conversation, right? And so I love the idea of blockchain. But if you brought me the blockchain for Bitcoin, and you brought me the blockchain for a fake shit coin like Cifra or OneCoin or Omega Pro, I couldn't tell you which was which. And the truth is 99% of the engineers in the world can't tell you what's worth, which one was which. One could actually be a legitimate blockchain, and the other one is actually the coding for a, you know, porno video on OnlyFans. And even the average engineer wouldn't know the difference. So you get all these MLMers who have no idea of tech, and they go to the website and they say, you know, it's like back in the day, you know, with the pyramid, you used to always, you know, every pyramid say, I've actually talked to my lawyer and he tells me it's legal, right? That's in the 70s and 80s, that's what you heard. Well,
Yeah,
there's no legitimate company in the world that ever has to say we're legitimate. Right?
exactly. That's a red flag right there.
Right? You know, if somebody comes up to you and says, I'm not a prostitute,
Exactly.
I'm just looking for a date with somebody who's generous. Okay.
Exactly.
Says, I'm not a criminal. I'm not a MLM crypto scam. I'm not a Ponzi scheme. There's
Yeah, and the company and all these companies are like based on the Caribbean, you know, or something where they cannot be even
well,
found.
now really the haven is Dubai. That's
Yeah,
anything goes in Dubai. So they're all moving to Dubai.
and it's perfect for them because I mean, if it was in, I don't know, in Turks and Caicos, you don't have the lifestyle there, but Dubai, you can show your watch, your Ferrari, which all these companies do, you know. I loved once in a training you did that you kind of created this story about how 99% of the companies are built in our profession. It's two guys, they meet in the bar, you know, and one goes, hey, this network marketing thing, this model is amazing. Yeah, I have some money, connections. We should build one. Okay, what should we sell? And that's what's killing our profession, because they don't care about the company. That's why you had 87 slides with this guy. And he said, I can make money out of it. He didn't say, I can help people with their finances. We can help people get out, of corporate America, we take your life. No, it's, I can make money and it's legal. You cannot touch me. And the people, what people? They have to join. Okay, but me, my house, my yacht. So that's, I think, what really bugs me when people are just creating companies. I'm a capitalist anarchist. Okay, I think that's the best way to put me in a frame. A capitalist anarchist. So I like making money. I just don't like thinking about that all the time. I like to think about who's going to benefit with my ambition. I think it was Adam Smith, that guy, very cool guy, know about economics a little bit. He said that the personal ambition serves the common interest of the people. And I love that, because exactly, and that's why this model is so perfect. If you make money, I make money. But then you have these guys that come in and just do stupid shit.
There's a book I have somewhere over there that everyone should read. It's titled How Adam Smith Changed My Life. And it's I was actually turned on to it by Bob Burg, and it's really very insightful. I really recommend that to everyone. But yeah, people don't, and there are a certain amount, there's a certain percentage of people, like I read this story once, this study I was reading. They did a psychological study where they put like a gopher on the road and then they tracked what happened when cars come and they see the gopher in front of the car. And they found that 11% of the people swerved to try and run over the gopher. 11%. Now, I don't know if it's how accurate it was, but that was a study. And what I can tell you is those 11% of people like to join network marketing scams. Those are the people that love the whether it was the travel website, the blue laundry ball, the airplane game, now the MLM crypto scams. They don't think about it's just like, hey, like OneCoin. I mean, I'm trying to think of the number. We actually had it in the first issue of MLM Confidential. How much money the crypto queen's brother was making. He was one of the co-founders with her. So it was like $20 million a month or and I think that was it. But, somebody can put in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong. But it was an outrageous number like that. And you say $20 million a month. Well, but he's in prison right now and he's waiting for sentencing. And the guideline says he's going to be in prison for the next 60 years if it comes down the way the guidelines are set up. So I ask myself, would I trade X number of months making $20 million a month and then I'd have to serve 60 years in prison? And the answer is no. I wouldn't do it for $50 million a month. I wouldn't do it for $100 million a month. I wouldn't even do it for $20 billion a month. But I don't know. Everybody thinks they're gonna outsmart the game.
Exactly. Well, I just saw the Bernie Madoff documentary on Netflix.
I haven't seen it yet, so don't. And Art Jonak told me I have to watch it. So
yeah, it's good. It's good. I mean, I actually skipped one one episode, not the last one, but before the one before, because I mean, it was two. And when this happened, it's okay, because we all know the story, I didn't know how he ended up, or his family, how his family ended up. I didn't know about that. But I mean, it's the biggest pyramid. I mean, I think Charles Ponzi would be proud. That's my boy. That's my boy. They just don't think about the outcome. They're like monks. They're just in the present. They think it's gonna go forever. This is a 70-year-old guy who has been doing this since the late 70s. They just think with all that power, I don't know what the English word for megalomano is, megalomaniac,
Megalomaniacal.
Exactly. So they don't think they're gonna get caught. They don't think about the outcome. They're like right here, right now, and they feel invincible until they don't. And I think maybe in some way they want to get caught.
There are people that self-sabotage thing and they do want to get caught. And the other thing why I bring up that 11% who want to go and run over the animal is there are just some, because there are people that I've talked to and I said, can I explain to you why this is an illegal pyramid? And they say, no, you don't have to explain. I know it's an illegal pyramid, but I'm just saying, let's get the money while we can. I mean, it's going to have a 6-year run or 6-month run, and we might make, $350,000 or $2 million, and then it'll collapse and we'll look for the next thing. And that's their philosophy.
And I think it's even deeper. I have friends, I know people that go into these things knowing people are going to get hurt. But they're like, because we got in the conversation and they're like, I've been eating shit my whole life. I've been hurt. So if somebody has to go on top, somebody else has to get hurt. It's a win-lose world. And I want to win now. It's my turn. So somebody's going to lose. Well, that's the world. I'm going to get into this and I'm going to make as much money as I can. That's their philosophy.
There was an amazing Twilight Zone episode where they knock on the door of this family and they bring this black box in and they say to the guy, okay, here's the deal. If you push the button on this box, you will get $1 million, I think was the amount. And this is like probably in the 70s, $1 million. It's like $1 billion now.
Yeah.
You will get $1 million. And then somebody on the other side of the earth that you don't know will die. And so he tortures himself about it and he sells himself the story and he pushes the button. He gets the $1 million. And the payoff of the episode is then the guy's leaving. And he's like, what are you doing with the box? And he says, oh, we're going to go take this to somebody else on the other side of the world. Right. So now his life is going to be dependent on, well, some stranger blow him up for $1 million. And that's that's like the backdrop for some of these scams. But I will say this, and because the original question I asked is, what are we thinking about the state of the profession? And I actually am really bullish on it right now. I love where we're going. I love the kind of products that are coming to the surface in the profession. And I feel like the whole COVID pandemic, worldwide recession, everything is just going to keep driving people into our profession. And yeah, they'll always, like you say, this is just cyclical stuff. The one coin is just the new version of the magic laundry ball or the other one is a gas pill. You put it in your car and it turns your car, instead of 20 miles to the gallon, you get 200 miles to the gallon.
Yeah.
Comes around every 6-8 years. And it works amazing. You put it in your car and it increases the gas mileage 20%. and or 200%, and then your engine block locks up, seizes, the engine is done, and you have to throw the car away. But in the meantime, it was amazing gas, right? And it's just so that stuff will keep coming back in the cycle, but it's still, you know, we're both from simple enough beginnings that I don't know any other way I would have become wealthy than this business. There was just, I didn't fit the script that the world has for the kind of people who are supposed to be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to your question about, you know, how do I feel about the profession right now? The first thing that came out to me was this scams going on, that they change names, you know, but they're the same guys behind them. Is because I was actually rescuing, and I've rescued thousands of people in the last 10 years. But in the other side, the bright side, I think we need those guys. I think this profession needs an opponent, you know, to grow, you know, I read a book, True Prosperity, from Yehuda Berg, the guy from Kabbalah. And he always says, you know, about the opponent, you know, about Michael Jordan, he wouldn't be anything without gravity, you know, cliche examples, you know, that then you see an obstacle is the way from Ryan Holiday, and who's making Marco Aurelius great again. But I think it's good. And the other side is, yes, the pandemic was good, you know, for the evolution of digital marketing for the profession. I always had in my mind since 2009, when I started using the internet to sponsor people, that 100 people a year sponsored, 100 people a year should be normal, you know. And but I was crucified back then, you know. It was like science fiction. What, you're making videos? What about the call? You gotta call your nephew. He read Kiyosaki, so he wanted to join. I didn't care about my nephew. I care about joining two forces. Everybody talked about leverage, and everybody talked about sponsoring. And I remember in May 2009, when I looked at those pillars: leverage, sponsoring, no, get out of the rat race, time hour per action, you know, that like changes the hour per
Trading time for money.
Exactly. But I'm trading time for money when I'm sponsoring, you know, me. I need to sponsor in a leveraged way. And that month, Facebook ads was born in Latin America. Say, okay, because I'm not going to put ads in paper, you know, or start giving, you know, flyers. I leave that to other companies. And that's when I started doing ads, and I started sponsoring 100 people per year. Actually, my record was 24 people in a week. The flip side is that you have to have a good system in place to help those people, empower those people, you know, hold those people, you know, and grow them and help them. I didn't have that. I was like, so now, you know, 10 years later, you know, 12 years later, it's not science fiction. When I was talking about landing pages in 2009, now is perfect. So that's what actually helped my business. My business tripled in 2020, 2021, because everybody said, okay, Eric, how do we do that? You know, in a simple way. And we simplify it, we systematize it, you know, and now you have people, you know, from 67 years old, a guy actually that you know here in Argentina, Jorge, sponsoring 10 people per month, you know, and he's 67, you know, he should have the excuse that, no, I'm going to hire my niece to do this because she gets it, you know. No. he started doing it himself, you know?
Right.
And so I'm happy that people are embracing the internet, you know, thanks to the pandemic.
Hey, you have to give Jorge a hug from me next time you see him. I'm delighted to hear about his progress.
Nah, he's amazing. He's a great guy. He's so Argentinian.
He is. He really, really is. Yeah, one of the things for you guys who don't know, we each put like 3 or 4 bullet points and like note that we want to talk to each other about before each of the show. The inspiration for this format is Tim Sales and Kevin Rose do this thing called the Random Show on Tim's podcast, and suppose of just me and one person all the time, I thought I'd like to do this with a bunch of different people on a regular basis and just chop it up and let the people eat. So that was kind of the thing. And so one of the points I wrote for you was how you were ostracized when you introduced social media and internet in the business. Can you kind of talk about what that was like, what you had to go through at that point?
Okay. I'm in a semantics mode right now, learning about that word you just said, ostracized.
Ostracized.
It's another, it's a fancy word for getting my ass kicked or something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, meaning like shamed and humiliated and insulted or attacked for doing something.
Sued, actually.
You literally
2008.
You literally got sued?
They tried. They just tried to intimidate me, you know? And I'm like as you can know, and you actually are pretty much yourself, we are like a peacock. So when I try to intimidate me, I don't know why, past life, karma, contracts, my chest goes up, you know, and I just throw my nose into your head, you know, in a figure of speech, of course. 2008, I discovered a guy named Mike Dillard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he wrote an ebook called Magnetic Sponsoring. And after 3 weeks trying to find $27, I bought it. And he was the one who connected, leveraged sponsoring. And I was like, okay. I didn't care about his business. I think he was in wealth generators or something. I don't know. I didn't care anything about that guy. I just cared about unifying this stuff. So I wrote an email to all the diamonds in my company. I didn't exist in my company. I was the guy doing 100 points per week for 5 years straight. But I had the emails and I had the audacity to send an email explaining the future of network marketing is the internet. And I explained what we should do, advertising, leveraged sponsoring, 100 people per year, and I thought I was going to become the rock star of my company. The next day, we had the hotel presentation. I went there with my chest, inflated, I guess I'm going to get the applause as soon as I get in as the innovator. And actually, the number one guy, the number two guy in the company, hey, everybody dressed up in ties. I remember that was I never wore a tie. I hated it. I said, I'm not going to wear a tie. I don't sell, I'm not going to wear a tie. I got into the business to get rid of the tie. Now you're going to put me a tie again? Fuck you, with all the respect. So they said me, we want to talk to you. Oh my God, you're going to send me with the diamonds, And in this profession, you like idealize people, they're like gods, you have pajamas with their faces on it, Yeah. Oh my God. I went to a separate room in the hotel, men in black, it looked like a black op, I go, okay. It was an intervention. you know, they kicked the shit out of me in words, you know, because they were old people. Okay, I didn't build my business like this. You are trying to distract people. You are a distraction, you know. My answer was that, hey, you built your business in 2001, you know. Why should I do the same thing as you? Maybe let's talk to a guy that became a diamond in 77, and he said, I became a diamond with letters and the fax machine. Let's do that. Let's do that. Like the guy. I don't care about history. I care about the future. You know, I called everybody with these hands. Fuck your hands, man. I want to become, you know, I want to pay my rent. Long story short, there's one guy that was there, didn't say a thing, came to my house the other day and said, hey, I didn't understand shit, you know, but I understand you have a point of view. Here's my credit card, use it wisely, and let me know if it works. And that guy is a friend of ours called Luca. So I got that credit card, you know, and started my thing. And I started creating videos because somebody told me, if you add value, people will follow. Okay, simple enough. How do I add value? I'm going to talk the truth, speak the truth on the internet. So my first video was the 10 lies of network marketing. And it got viral, 2009. I said, Donald Trump never said in a talk show that he was going to start again with network marketing, you know? No, but I started, and I got a lot of comments because they thought I was a hater, you know, that I was calling out the profession. No, I'm in the profession. I love it. That's why I'm doing this. So they didn't get it. And I did a little thing that maybe I shouldn't have done. I started a funnel with a boot camp, 7-day boot camp, saying, do not join Herbalife without watching this. Today, that's all, of course, it's clickbait. But in 2009, I was the first guy to do it in Latin America. So everybody get home from the presentation in a hotel from Herbalife. They type Herbalife in Google, and I was the master of Google Ads. The master. I beat Amazon at the top place at Google. They actually started to hire me in big companies, you know, because I read Perry Marshall's 600.
Perry Marshall, another OG blast from the past.
Exactly. I read 600 pages because they were not video courses, you know. You had to read the 600 pages of programming shit that I learned, you know, and I become the master of Google Ads. But and when Facebook came in like 3 months later, I can do the same ads with a picture because Google doesn't let you do that. And I put my face like this, the classic cliche, stupid, like a lot of people, the Nara and the logo of Herbalife. You cannot use a logo. That's a big no-no. And I created 19 landing pages for my 19 campaigns, one for 4 Life, Herbalife, 3, OmniLife, Monavi, Agile, everybody that was pumping it right then. And I started to get, let's say, letters. Like I now say, I remember that phrase that I've started to get in the letters from the movies, cease and desist. That's what they, yeah.
Cease and desist.
Yeah, so okay, it's like, you know, and they send a letter to all OmniLife, you know, distributors all over Latin America, which is like 125,000 people, saying, do not listen to Erick Gamio. He is hurting our profession, our company. He's using our names because that. And that got me a ton of followers, you know? The funny thing is, I never gave a shit about the followers. I was joking with my tech guy that I've been working with for 12 years. I didn't respond to a single YouTube comment, Facebook comment in 8 years, in my first 8 years. I didn't care. I just was sending the information, and I didn't care about being famous or, you know, getting engagement. That didn't exist. that metric didn't exist. I was just sponsoring people like crazy. I was
Right.
making money for the first time in my life. So I was getting sued, trying to get sued. Herbalife sent me a big letter, intimidating letter. I mean, I'm from Peru, so I was like laughing a little bit. I mean, okay, yeah, I'm gonna put down the ad, you're gonna have to find me, motherfucker. But okay, that's my attitude. I don't, yeah. So, and years later, I started, having traction with that model. I systematize it, and now it's everybody wants to create value to gain followers and all that stuff. But at the first, I mean, somebody told me, I think it was Luca, being too advanced it looks almost as being wrong. So that's why people are trying to tell you that you're wrong. But I just didn't know anything else to do. I was not gonna call I hated faking friendship. When I was in the restaurant and a guy from school that I haven't seen in 70 years showed up, my Erick, today Erick, it's like, I'm lazy. I don't even know the guy. But I was in network marketing. I needed people. So, hey, Giacomo, what's up? Well, hold on. I will get out of the table and try to squeeze in my invitation. I hated doing that. And I've never done that ever again. 10 years.
It's funny. And by the way, I don't think the Erick of today would probably do the before you join Herbalife, before you join Amway, before you join New Skin.
No.
The Wild Wild West days. So just for people watching, I don't want anybody ratioing you on social media coming back. But we were figuring it out as we were figuring it out. For me, I was really, I'm much older than you are, so I'm not a digital native in any way. I came much later to the internet, but I was a copywriter and I was a marketer. And so I don't know if you remember, there used to be a thing called card decks. They were like 3x5 index cards, and they would send 60 of them in a plastic wrap, and you would buy one of the cards and you'd put your ad in there, and they'd mail them out to 50,000 people or whatever. You had a flyer a week, the name escapes me, it'll come up, but I used that. I rented mailing lists, and because I guess at my essence, I'm really a writer. And so I became a copywriter and I learned how to write copy. And so I did like you, I learned how to recruit hundreds of people. And then I also learned, wow, if you just keep throwing them in the boat, they just keep jumping out the other side of the boat. You gotta find a way to do it in a way that can be replicated. And I think if you look at my direct selling success book and the kind of trainings I'm doing now, if you look at the kind of the mentoring and the coaching programs and the YouTube videos that you're doing now, we both have come to this space of saying, this computer fad is not going away.
Yeah.
And you're either going to learn how to harness technology or you're going to be roadkill on the highway. And it's all about building out those systems. And, my 3 magic words are, how do I automate? How do I systematize? How do I scale? Because, I came into business through Amway, and Amway, you sponsored someone, you went over to their house and you spent 2 hours with them, and you had your 3-ring binder, which was this thick, and you said, who do you know named Joe? Who do you know named Mo? Who do you know named Curly? Who lives on the left? Who lives on the right? Who lives upstairs? Who do you go to school with? Who did we do in the military? Who were your school teachers? And you spent 2 hours on that, getting a list of 250, 300 people. And then you got out the script and said, hello, friend's name here. This is your name here calling. And I've got something I'm really excited about. And I would like to share with you. What would be better, Tuesday at 7 o'clock or Thursday at 7:30? And so, and you know what? In that moment, it worked. These are the days of Ozzie and Harriet or the Waltons, or I don't even know what were the shows back then, right? It's a different marketplace. So, but what never, what never changes is the human connection. So if you can automate and systematize and scale, like that was the problem with this client I was talking to yesterday. He's a genius. He's just a fucking genius in his area, in his domain. He has domain expertise that no one else in the world has. And again, I can't say what it is because I wouldn't want to, throw the guy under the bus. He's a great guy. He just doesn't quite understand some of the nuances of duplication and how the regulators view things, but I'll get him there. He's a good guy. I'll get him on the right track. But he's a fucking genius in his thing. But what I told him is you don't scale. He has a way to go out and produce something for the product line that I'm telling him, if you go down in a helicopter, the whole thing collapses. I don't want, if I'm Jim Smith in Indiana and me and my wife, Cindy, are looking for a network marketing company to join and we want to build a future, we want to know that if the guy goes down in a helicopter, the whole thing isn't going to blow up. I have a different client, that is based on, they get something from China. And I'm like, you cannot have your entire business predicated on a supply chain with China, because they could click you off like that and your entire business evaporates. You've got to think of the bigger picture stuff. And so I just learned, okay, I cannot go to everybody's house and spend 3 hours. Who do you know named Mo? Who do you know named Joe? Who do you know named Curly? And I said, okay. And I started with, I don't know, what did we used to call them? They weren't party lines. They were, but you would record a message on a phone line, and there was no faxes. There was no internet. So you would put a message on a phone line. So I recorded a get started training on a phone line. And then I made like a workbook. So when you sponsored someone, I gave them the workbook and said, call this number. And then we turned that into a cassette tape. So you'd sponsor someone, you'd give them a cassette tape and a workbook. And then it was a DVD or a CD and a workbook. That, the technology changed, but it wasn't about the technology. It's about, is it scalable? Because now I literally could sponsor 11, 12, 15 people in a week and give them all the CD and the workbook, or the cassette tape and the workbook, or the whatever in the workbook. Now it's just a link you send in your phone on WhatsApp, right? Here's a link, go do the get started training and call me when you're done. And that scales.
Exactly. But I'm still a romantic, and there's an ironic thing here. I've sponsored more family and friends since I started with the digital stuff than any other period in my life. Why? When you have an abundance of prospects, you can lay back a little bit and call your mother-in-law, and it's a different vibe when you don't need her. It's a different vibe. The posture, totally.
The posture.
So I came to Argentina 6 years ago. I sponsored my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, my 2 brothers-in-law, the 3 cousins, and my neighbor. Everything I touched, I sponsored. Why? Because I didn't need them. I wasn't, you're gonna love this. I started, I don't know if you're gonna love this. That's why I'm gonna show it to you, so you can tell me. and they felt I didn't need them. I just wanted to show them this. So they were the one leaning in instead of me, because I knew the next day I could sponsor 5 people more. And that's it.
I hope the people eavesdropping in on us get this thing about the posture. You can't, this is why I have a couple of crusades I'm on in the moment, right? Crusade 1 is these crypto scams. Crusade 2 is, all right, stop with the fucking bling bling already. It's just, okay, it's not 1986 anymore. We don't need pictures of Lambos with stacks of cash and bimbos in bikinis, and we could be a little more sophisticated, right? I'm all about getting out of debt now, and
exactly.
And it's just when you get the but the posture thing is when you're approaching people and because what I was leading with that is my other crusade is stop telling people to quit their jobs too early. Because everybody, I read just recently, I had read for years, I've been touting this statistic that 70% of people don't like or actually hate their job. I've been talking about that since the 70s. I actually saw some research last week that put the number at 82% in a recent study, that 82% of people have dissatisfaction with what they do for a living. So it's just natural when they look at our business, because obviously it looks so glamorous. We get those bonus cars. We're always posting the Instagram pics from our cruise that we won and the island in Fiji or Tahiti or Hawaii, or Flacco in the Burj Al Arab in Dubai, and, Randy in front of his fleet of Vipers. And that's what we did, right? So, who wants to go back to working as a clerk at Wells Fargo? Who wants to go back to stocking shelves at Costco? Who, even if they're an accountant or an attorney or a nurse or a doctor, they're like, well, I don't want to be seeing sick people in my office all day. I want to be frolicking on the beaches like Gamio does, and, posting all those cool Instagram pics. So everybody wants to leave their job as soon as their network marketing income gets even close to what they're earning. But they don't understand at the level they're earning, with the debt they have, with the mortgage on their house and their car payment and their $47,000 worth of credit card debt, because they've been living on exactly 125% of what they earn every year for the last 17 years. When they replace that bank income, accounting income, Costco income, Taco Bell income with network marketing income, they still have the $47,000 in credit card debt and the car payment in the house. And now when they're talking to the mother-in-law and the sister and the cousins and the neighbors, they have this desperation that they can't get out of their eyes. They can't get out of the tone of their voice. And it repels people like the odor of a skunk. It's
totally.
And
totally. And I think it's the other way around now. For example, I sponsored the first lady, which is the leader, and 30 people came into the tree, talking in a very rudimentary way. And actually I'm a very romantic, so I'm not like, I'm going to send you a link, you sign up, tell me when you're done. I like to do it myself. The concept of sponsorship is like being a father-in-law, the concept of upline is like a priest, a mother, a father, a call center support system, and I take that shit very seriously. That's why I really, when people start sponsoring a lot of people online, I'm like, don't sponsor more than you can chew. You're going to have to spend time developing the people, because my record was 300 people between 4 guys, 300 people in 30 days. But we were left with 5 after 90 days. because we didn't nurture them,
Yeah.
So we have to scale down, and that's the beautiful challenge when you know how to open the doors to leverage sponsoring, that you can scale it down a little bit. Okay, like Jorge started sponsoring 10 people per month, and he went, it was hectic, and I'm just gonna dial it now down to 6. I think that's my number. Now, having said that, these 30 people that came in yesterday and a little bit in the morning, they have to start over in this company, and I'm like, okay, I think you're not gonna want to hear this, but you all need to get a job. If you don't get a job, you're gonna strangle your business for money, and you don't need to do that. I got a job after 5 years, when I was figuring all this out. After 5 years of being in network marketing, I had to fake my way into corporate businesses again, fake my way, because in the interviews I lied, like, yes, I want to work here, I just need to use you for at least 6 months to 8 months, so you can give me a little bit of breathing room with a check. I'm going to come here every night at 9. I'm going to leave at 6:30, but I need you. I'm going to use you to build my business. So that's why I recommend people, get a job, because your income in network marketing is not a wage. It's called profits. It's not a wage. It's profits. So you got to put those profits, like the entrepreneurs or businessmen, when you're a network marketer, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a businessman. That looks cool on your Instagram bio. You have to walk it. You have to walk the talk. You have to reinvest your profits. Nobody takes all the profits in the first year. That's bananas. We have the luxury of having a almost free business, because we don't have to take care of employees and rent or anything of that stuff. But we have to take care, of our people. You buy tickets to go fly places or events, so profits go back. And get a job. And when you're even, and we're going to do that, you can actually quit your job.
Yeah, this is because I'm the guy fighting and say, no, I know you've matched your income at the bank, but I need you to stay there another 6 months, because you still have the $47,000 of credit card debt. You have a car payment, and then how are you going to invest in your business? Great. You're up to, let's say they make 60 grand a year in the US, which is, that would be a fortune in Peru, but it's not a lot of money in the United States anymore.
Exactly.
You go to the dentist and the bill is $2,000. If it's, one bag of groceries is $150, and you need 4 or 5 bags of groceries every week to feed your family. I just had a dental surgery here. It's $4,000. And I say, every time I had my Land Rover in the garage, the bill, $4,000. I'm talking to a friend and I'm saying, how do poor people live? How do they? And then I remember, because I was a poor people. You just don't go to the dentist. You just don't. And if you have an abscess tooth, you tie a thread around it and you put it over the door and you tie it onto the handle. And you slam the door and it yanks the tooth out, and you bleed like you're dying for 5 days, and you hope you don't get sepsis. And, that's what poor people do. They don't fix their teeth. They don't go to the doctor. They don't eat healthy food, right? That sucks. We have to show people how to escape that reality. But the point is, so somebody making 60 grand here, it's okay. They're not in poverty. Let's not be melodramatic, but you're not wealthy making 60 grand a year in the US. But so they're making 60 grand at, working at ABC Bank. And now if they get up to a 60 grand a year equivalent check in network marketing, they want to quit the bank right away. But like you said, we're talking about profit, not wage. And if you make 5 grand in your check, great, but you're going to spend $1,000 buying airplane tickets and hotel rooms and going working in long distance lines. You're going to buy some marketing material. Do you need to keep some inventory? unexpected. So you don't really, that's what they're like, well, I bought this $30,000 watch. It's only 1 month in. No, your $30,000 bonus check is not your profit. That's your gross. How much is taxes in the 30,000? Okay, that might be 13,000. So you didn't make 30,000, you made 17,000. Okay, and so that watch is not 1 month's check. That watch is 5 months check.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't think through that stuff. And so if I can say, stay at that bank another 6 months and take that extra $5,000 a month and take 3,000 of it and pay off the debt, which is at 33% annual interest rate on some fucking credit card, which is, more than the fucking mafia would charge you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And take 2,000 of that and reinvest it in growing your business. So we turn your $5,000 a month check into a $10,000 a month check. And then in 6 months, let's look at leaving your job. It's a big
Exactly. Goal. Absolutely. And I had a topic in my mind. It's in some way related to our profession because we are entrepreneurs that develop ourselves as leaders in personal growth, And in the past 5, 6, 7 years, I was writing about this in my diary, dear diary. And it's, I wrote it like the topic, like a headline in my diary, the loneliness of personal growth. Sometimes I talk to friends, like yesterday. Yesterday, we went to have dinner with a couple of friends of mine that I've known for 25 years, lovely couple, and Mary and I'm on the same boat of personal growth. We really have awareness that we have to grow and evolve as people, read a lot, went to a lot of courses. We both do therapy, from a long time ago, because I don't believe that only books and a cute unleash the power within is gonna make me discover my darkness and confront it. Okay. I need a therapist for that shit. And but this personal growth is making me lose interest in a lot of people because they're talking. I'm not saying I'm better than them. I don't want to create a hierarchy. I'm here. They're there. They're simple. They're basic. No. I'm just saying maybe it's shallow what I'm saying, but I'm losing interest because when I'm started to talk about it, a little bit of depth or something, they're like, oh, there goes the guru. He reads. Fuck you, man. I'm like, so I have to dumb myself, like to hang out with a lot of my friends now, which are a lot of them are musicians, and I don't know if you have felt that when you started your personal growth journey, reading books and you started to talk with some friends of yours and you're like, but that's a limiting belief. But I'm not want to be the guy who tells you that because I don't want to sound like a therapist to you, but I'm like, and suddenly you lose interest in the conversations because it's always about the fucking politics. The Fed is fucking us, Yeah, but I don't know if you felt the same way, this loneliness.
God, if only you knew. You just described the I don't know, the darkness laying upon my heart, having just ended a relationship with a guy that I was dating, who is sweet, kind, gorgeous, and knows speaking self-development and personal growth with him is like speaking in Swahili.
Yeah.
You said something like, hey, just reading books ain't going to get to the darkness of my heart. I hope people listening don't misinterpret that, because here's how I would define what you just said is everyone in this room right now, meaning both of us and everybody watching or listening, can't do that. There is, when you're narcissistic, that's mental illness. When you have unmet childhood needs, that's mental illness. When your ego is running rampant, that's mental illness. When you have obsessive personality, obsessive compulsive issues, that's mental illness. When you have schizophrenia, multiple personality, all, they really have it, bipolar, this is all mental illness. Mental illness is another way to describe insanity. And what you have to understand is insanity will always reinvent itself.
Yeah.
So you say, I am giving up alcohol, and you switch to marijuana, and you become a dope head. And you say, I'm giving up dope, and you become a gambleaholic. I'm giving up gambling. You become a sexaholic. The insanity won't allow you to kill it. It will always, it's like water always finds a way through the rock. The insanity will always, and everybody watching this is insane. Okay, all of us have some kind of issues. And so I've spent 40 years working on my issues. I got to share a story because, and it's in the book, but you're the hero of the story. For those guys who haven't read, I think it's the Radical Rebirth book. The one, there's a picture. I don't think they could see it behind me. So Erick is at a seminar I'm speaking at, and you had your mother-in-law with you. Who is she a psychologist or a psychiatrist?
Psychologist.
So she's a psychologist. So she's listening to my speech, and she says to Erick, you didn't tell me Randy's a psychologist. And he says no, he's not a psychologist. She said, yes, he is. She said, no, trust me, he's not a Erick, I'm a psychologist. I know when I can hear another psychologist talking. This is total shop talk. This is a very experienced, psychologist. And you're telling her, no, he's a high school dropout.
Yeah.
How did that happen? That happened because I got introduced to network marketing 40 years ago, and baked in the cake is self-development and personal growth. We're the only industry in the world that's baked in the ingredient deck. It's in the recipe. Because of Amway, I think we could give all the credit to them, that they were with their tape of the month, book of the week, whatever, tape of the week, book of the month, whatever. They understood the value of, Bill Britt, the Perriers, Jaegers, the OGs at Amway. They understood self-development. And so I joined, of course, Amway. I didn't make any money with them, but their shadow covers everybody in the space, and everybody who was successful after has built on their shoulders, their success that they created. And so I've always been involved in personal growth, and that meant I've been dealing with these issues for 40 years. And it was about 20 years in when I realized, okay, I need a professional to do this. And it's only because I was living with a guy at that time, and our relationship was a complete fucking train wreck. And we couldn't live together, and we couldn't live without each other. And so he was the one who said, we have to go get couples counseling. And I'm like, I'm not letting no fucking shrink fuck with my mind. But after month after month of this train wreck, I finally said, you know what? We've tried everything else. Let's go into therapy. And so it takes a couple of years of therapy. And I say in one of the sessions, I just don't think we're supposed to be together. I think this is a big mistake. And my partner said, I have to agree with Randy. I just don't think we're supposed to be together. And the therapist said, exactly. But I couldn't tell you that. I needed you to come to that conclusion yourself. You guys are not in love. You're in love with the idea of being in love.
Yeah.
We had a beautiful house on a golf course. We had the dog, we had the cars, we had the white picket fence. We were the perfect couple, except neither one of us was emotionally mature enough to be in a relationship. And in my case, I was so insecure and had such low self-esteem that there's no way I could ever be in a functional relationship with anyone else because I hated myself. This is what, I look back, I've written 14 books now. Radical Rebirth was number 14. And I feel like this is the one that pulls everything together. All the work I've been doing in direct selling, work as an author, work as an entrepreneur, my work as a marketer, going through my relationships, getting my health, losing my health, working to get my health back. Everything in my life led me to write that book, which is not in the book. Very few people in the world know this. And I didn't know it when I wrote the book. But the thing that caused me to write that book happened on Christmas Eve after that session with the counselor, which was a couple of weeks before Christmas.
Okay.
And I had moved out of the house. I had 8 billion airplane, airfare, frequent flyer miles and hotel points. So I called the Marriott Hotel at the airport in Miami and I said, I need a room, to live in. And I got 8 trillion points and I moved into the Marriott. And I wanted the relationship. I didn't want any negativity. I said, keep the house. I'm going to take my car. I'm going to take my clothes. You keep the house, you keep the furniture, any outstanding bills, I'll take care of. You want to finish your school, I'm going to handle the school. All the money things out of the way. I just want to be a good guy and I don't want there to be any negativity. So I move into the Marriott, which is just the most depressing fucking place on earth. It's like there's the Marriott, you're at the airport, the planes are flying. There are Marriotts that are paradise. I didn't think to rent in one of those Marriotts. I got in the one at the fucking airport with the view of the dumpster behind the next hotel and whatever.
The breakup Marriott.
Yeah. So it's Christmas Eve and I'm deciding how I'm going to kill myself that night. And fortunately, I call my therapist and leave a message. And he calls me back. And so I didn't do something that would have been really, terminal. But I never realized until after that book was written that the catalyst for that book was the night I was sitting in the Marriott and was going to kill myself because I was just so depressed. And, the kind of the too long didn't read version of the book is that you don't have to kill yourself if you hate yourself like I did. You just have to kill off the parts of you that you don't like.
Yeah.
So I found the things that I didn't like about myself and I changed them one by one. And so this is like a second skin to me because the other thing is when I was 14 years old, I subscribed to Psychology Today. I thought psychology was fascinating. That's probably what your mother-in-law was picking up on I've been studying psychology literally since I was 14. When I was 15 or 16, I read the book Sybil, which is about this woman who had like 16 multiple personalities. And it was Yeah. So this is what I'm reading as a teenager, because I found that stuff fascinating. So then I got involved in marketing, and what marketing is totally about psychology. So I tell you, all this journey takes me to your question and how I had to end this relationship, because I just realized, this guy has serious unresolved issues with his mother, who was very abusive, and he's got a lot of things he's got to work through. And he's putting me in her place. You know how they say a woman, a little girl grows up and she wants to marry her father, and a boy grows up and he wants to marry his mother. And so in a gay relationship, it's a similar but different dynamic. His father was not around, only his mother. His mother's very abusive, still is to this day. So he'll call me up and he'd be ranting for half an hour about some crazy thing she's done, to even now that he's a grown adult, he's still facing down these issues with her, because she's the victim of her abuse. And you know what I mean? It hurt people, hurt other people, right? And he's so in the throes of that I can't talk to him rationally, logically, analytically. The nerve is too raw, and I can't convince him to get therapy. So I realized I got to end this relationship. And, that's a problem. And I have to own my role in the problem. I'd love to say, well, I've done all the therapy, and so I'm now a perfect human being, and I can't find anybody perfect like me. But that's all bullshit. That's just a story I would sell myself, right? But I am very far along in working on my own issues, and I like myself. Not only do I love myself, but I like myself. I like my life. And it took me a really, really long time to get there. And I was always the buck-toothed kid with the big nose who never fit in. I got thrown out of school. I was in jail for armed robbery and burglary at 15 years old. I was a teenage alcoholic, was a teenage drug addict. I zigged when I probably should have zagged, and I zagged when I probably should have zigged. Point is, I never fit in. I always said, okay, like I was doing a interview. Joe Vitale was interviewing me when I did the Risky is the New Safe book. And I was talking about, cloning and real estate on the moon and ocean floor real estate and all the things I was I was writing about Bitcoin and Uber and, stuff in 2012. And he was like, finally, he says, how do you think this way? How can you think? Nobody ever thinks the way you do. And I said, Joe, I'll just be honest. The only explanation I have is the aliens put me in a basket on my mother's doorstep, and she just adopted me and never told me that I came from outer space, from some other galaxy, because that's the only explanation I could find. I have never fit into this world. I don't, like I said, there was no other industry that was going to make me with this one. Nobody was recruiting me. Nobody was trying, you know what I mean? I was the guy who never fit in. And so now now we know some things. Now I know I'm on the autism spectrum. Now I know,
right?
Now I know I have a Mensa IQ. We didn't know those things when I was young. We just knew this kid is weird.
Yeah.
Right? And my poor mother, what she went through, what the things I put that poor woman through. I mean, I could never repay her for what she had to go through with me. Right. And my teachers and my counselors and the people I was in my crazy, neurotic, dysfunctional relationships with, and all of the people I hurt along the way, because I don't process things like other people. So yeah, relationships, just, I was dating a guy, and he calls me up and he's telling me that he goes and visits his parents and stays at their house sometimes. And so he called me up and he was talking for 5 minutes that he bought shampoo to keep at his parents' house because he likes a certain brand of shampoo. This was a 5-minute conversation. I'm on the other end of the phone. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. I can't talk about, I do not find this fascinating that he likes this particular brand of shampoo and he's stocking it in the guest room at his parents' house. Where do I go with that? I don't want to be an asshole. I don't want to be arrogant. I need to be empathetic. I need to be caring. I want to, if something is important to somebody who's important to me, I need to be, but when
But that's
you're
the
in
irony. That's the irony. I mean, our personal growth is to know when to have empathy when somebody just wants to be heard, and that's the superpower of the people who have more introspection. I was reading the other day, or watching or hearing, you consume stuff in all of our in different ways, about people who are enlightened or illuminated, and a guy said, a guy who's illuminated is when he grabs a flashlight and illuminates all his weaknesses, all his mind, all his brain, his darkness, and like the mind is like a abandoned house where the person that is missing is you. And you have been evading yourself for all of your life, and then you shine a light into that empty house, and you're gonna find rats, shit, and it scares the shit out of you. But when you start cleaning it up, you start to find good qualities and good stuff, And I really liked that kind of way of thinking about the enlightenment with something so simple like a flashlight. So therapy, for example, is the only way that I can have an accessory, a human accessory, that can help me grab that flashlight and push it, because I'm not gonna do it myself. I don't have the tools to do it myself. That's why I love going to the Tony Robbins events, 3 days, with life hacks and change your vibe. Sing to an Alanis Morissette song, and you're gonna change it. Yeah, change it in the next 7 minutes. Then I want to kill myself again because I haven't cured or confronted the things inside me that I have to confront. I'm not trying to this Tony Robbins. I think he's a great guy, and he's a good guy. I know that he's a good guy, he's not selling shit. But I would love for him to end all of his events saying, and now we're going to recommend you to a therapist in your hometown so you can continue your journey, because that didn't end today. I sent all of my downlines to therapy because I'm not a therapist, I'm an upline. And they maybe put me in a pedestal because I have a good rank. That doesn't make me qualified, to tell you how to deal with your mother things, or you were abused, or whatever, I'm just good about, telling you a lot of things, but I'm not gonna recommend you a John fucking Maxwell book so you can, discover your darkness. So that's why I send everybody to therapy. But in my country, therapy, my country, and a lot of Latin America, not Argentina. Argentina is a European country that was left out.
Very, very European. People are
You know?
shocked. When they go there the first time, most people are shocked at how European it is.
Yeah, the education, you know, the openness, you know, how people think, you know. I mean, here I've been doing family constellations, you know, biodecodification, you know, open register, the esoteric realm that people are open to here is amazing. Why? Because religion is like 2 steps down in the hierarchy of things. But in the other countries, Latin America, religion hijacks the power to think. I'm sorry, I respect all religions. I'm not a religious guy, but they're hijackers. You know?
Yeah, in Latin America, it's pretty much Catholicism has dominated.
Yeah,
the
absolutely,
mind.
absolutely. And people do not go to therapy because you have to go to a priest. You know, maybe the therapist is going to tell you to think. We don't want you to think. We want you to stay here. No, the biggest network marketing company in the world comes from Rome. Motherfuckers. Okay, sorry, I'm sorry.
And
So I have to fight
for
that, you know?
everybody listening,
I'm sorry.
go after Flacco. He's telling you his truth as he knows it, and there's a lot of truth in there. I am in this camp. I've spent 20 years blogging about the ill effects of organized religion. It's very manipulative, very destructive in many ways. And there's amazing things about it. And
Amazing.
him and I both hope everybody finds their source of spiritual nourishment. The problem comes is people think they can outsource their critical thinking to religion. And religion religion is very happy to have you do that. You know, religions, cults, governments, they need you to need them. So
even network marketing companies, we can actually open up the spectrum. You know, it's like a kind of like a religion where if you leave, you're a traitor, and they crucify you because you left our people, our movement. You know, so I'm very, very, you know, careful when somebody leaves the company to go to another one. He's not the enemy. He did not betray us. It's the opposite. He started to think for himself instead of being, you know, puppeted, you know, like master of puppets by us on our product. He didn't like the product after 5 years. We told him he liked the product. He started to think, and he went to another company, and that's good. So, but what you just said, you know, the disclaimer, you know, that nobody comes after me or this material saying, yeah, the religion haters. No. The cool thing about religion, which I'm envy of, is that people feel very contained, you know, like they have a companion. Yeah. My dad built one of the biggest churches in Peru. My dad and my mom are really religious, you know, and I've had a lot of friends in the Catholic Church in Peru, you know, priests, you know. One priest invited me to watch a movie one day. Another story, you know. But good guys, and the friends of the family. I just didn't, like you just said, I didn't feel a mold, you know. So I needed to be my own man and grab things from different, even religions. You know, that's why I love Buddhism so much. I'm not a Buddhist, but I take a lot, you know. I'm not into, you know, Kabbalah is not a religion. It's, like they say, technology for the soul. But I take a few things. I take a few things from the Catholics too, from the Jewish people. That's I went to Dubai.
I wonder if some of the European stuff of Argentina is because of displaced Jews from World War II. Because like the other place that shocks people if you go there is Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah.
It is, now in Florida, we have Melbourne, Florida.
Yeah.
In Australia, it's Melbourne, Australia. And it is Europe. The minute you come out of the airport, the sculptures, the buildings, the architecture, the public space, you say, how did this little island of Europe get in the middle of this Australia? And it was Jews located during World War II, like a big community went there. And it's one of my favorite cities in the world. And so I'll tell you the other thing that I discovered about religion through network marketing is I had one of my team leaders was a director in my company. And when Hurricane Andrew came to Miami.
1992 or 91.
Yeah, one of those right around then. And it wiped out Homestead, South Miami, the area in which he lived. So it took me like 2 days to get a hold of him. Finally, the cell tower was up or the phone line was back or whatever it was. And I got a hold of him and I had left a message and said, what do you need? I got food, I have supplies, I have money, I have hammer, screwdriver, toolbox. Tell me what you need. And he called me and said, we could use help. The roof blew off the house. We have no electric, we have no phone, we have And I'm like, okay, I'll come down. So I go down there and I take my toolbox to go. I pull into his driveway and there's a new roof on the house. And there's a new roof on his neighbor's house and there's a new roof on the other neighbor's house. Like, I know this is his house. He told me he lost his roof. There's a new roof for it. I talked to him yesterday. There was no roof on this house. So I knock the door. He opens it up. He opens and there is the bread rack like I used to have when I was a restaurant manager with, trays which each have 20 loaves or 40 loaves of bread on them. There's like 3 bread racks. And then there's 3 coolers stacked up with gallons of milk in them and I'm like, hey, Jesus, what the hell is going on? He said, he was Mormon. So he said, my church made it here yesterday. So they knew the storm was coming to South Florida. They didn't know where. So all these Mormons from all over the United States and Canada and Mexico and wherever, they all left their jobs, left their family, put supplies, food, groceries, tools, lumber, tarps, everything, and they staged in Orlando, waiting for the storm to pass. And then they went down. And so and he's a bishop in the Mormon church. So they brought him, we've got the list of all of the people in your, church. Let us know who needs food, who needs money, who needs roof. They put up his roof. They built the neighbor's roof, the other neighbor's roof. And then they got the list of who else in the church. And I mean, I was so amazed I used to tell them all the time, listen, I am so impressed with the Mormon religion. If you didn't have those rules about drinking, smoking, drugs, and sex, I would be in tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the other side of religion. And that's the other side of our business and our profession is we can create those kind of communities and we can create that kind of,
yeah, of course. And as you were talking about this, I mean, because I like that parts of movements, to just not say the word religion, movements, and communities, and what I was thinking, I read in the actually you made me look at this book, Principles, by this guy Ray Dalio.
Yeah.
And I grabbed a phrase that I love, that it's learn to struggle well, and it's so simple, but so profound. We as an entrepreneurs in network marketing or in the textile business or in the real estate business, we're going to get our asses kicked in some way because we need to, because we have to get tough skin for the battle of entrepreneurship that doesn't end at 5 p.m. like a job. our project is our baby, and we're 24/7 thinking about our baby and the survival of our baby. So the thing I wanted to put into the mix in this chat was about frustration. We are in a profession, in these events, Tony Robbins just comes up to my mind a lot, like frustration or defeat is not welcome, because we have to be like Iron Man, and you have to pound through, and there's a very big lady here, it's like the Oprah of Argentina, that says a famous phrase, so simple, says that if you have to cry, just cry and cry and cry and let it in. Let the frustration come in, welcome it, and what do you think about that, in a that we are so much depending on our styles, but the whole profession is kind of rah, everything's cool, it's kind of like a negation of reality, when, hey, I just want to be sad for this week, so let me be. Don't try to cheer me up, upline.
This is where both of us use our psychology training, and most people simply can't relate to it, because you see somebody hurting and you desperately want to help them, and you
Captain Solution. Yeah,
and you just hate that they're sad. And it takes really it takes most people a lot of work with a mental health professional to recognize the need to allow grief and to just support people and be there. And for me especially, that's my problem because of the autism. When you say, well, you just have to be a good listener, and no, why I have all those problems in relationships and, friendships, and dealing with people who maybe aren't at that level of intellectual, IQ, is one of the, autism is, and there's a huge spectrum, right? So you have people that need to live on campuses or live in centers or live with their family because they're not able to function. Some of them are completely nonverbal. And then there's people like me, Elon Musk, people who are very high intellect people and Elon's the perfect example. He has the empathy of a eggplant. He goes into Twitter and sends an email and says, okay, 10,000 of you are fired tonight. All right. Sends an email. Okay, everybody be on the second floor at 8 p.m. or we're assumed you don't work here anymore. And it's taken me years to get better at that myself, because we're not good with niceties. And, like every client I work with, I think they go through a process where they all hate me at the start, because I come into meetings and I'm just lobbing grenades, because I'll be like, well, I'm in the first meeting with all the leadership team of this company that hires me, and they say, what do you think are of the goal of becoming the recognized global leader of fill in the blank? I won't say what it is, to protect the innocent. And I say, that's got to be the dumbest fucking idea I've ever heard. And here's why. And I give 3 very succinct points why this would be a terrible idea from a branding, marketing, everything. Well, unbeknownst to me, they've had a leadership retreat 2 weeks ago, and they all brainstormed, and this is the result of that brainstorming session that everybody from the CEO down was excited about, and this was going to be their focus for the next 2 years. And I came in and pissed all over it in 10 seconds with no empathy, no political correctness, no manners, because that's who I am. That's when you hire me, nobody likes to be told their baby is ugly, but don't
I'm gonna
ask.
share a story about you. That's why I'm laughing, because yeah, that's exactly right. I was in a meeting. Maybe
Well,
you
wait, hold
remember
that
this.
story. Hold that
Okay,
story.
okay.
Bookmark it. Let me finish this. So that happens with every client I work with. That happens in every relationship I'm in, every committee I join. They're like, who the fuck is this guy? He just says what's on his mind. He says, and I think they hate me. And they do. I don't think they hate me. I know they hate me. But after 3 or 4 meetings, they realize he really isn't trying to attack me personally. He really doesn't dislike me. He is not afraid to attack an idea and challenge it. And he never personalizes it. He will just say, that idea is shit, and here's why. Or I believe that's a very foolish path to take. And let me prosecute the case on why it is. And the truth is, I'm going to sound like an arrogant son of a bitch for saying it, but the truth is I'm usually right, because I'm really smart and I'm really old. And because I'm really old, I've had a lot of experience. So I've made a bunch of mistakes, and I've learned why certain pathways end up in disaster. And I think people, because now I have companies that I worked with 20 years, 30 years ago, and I'm still friends with those people. And they always call me when they come to Miami. And I always call them when I go to their town, and we go out to dinner, and we have bonds of friendship that have survived decades. But they hated my guts at the start because they've never met a functioning autistic person before, or, there's a show called The Good Doctor on ABC, which is an autistic doctor. And it's like my favorite show on TV because his name's Dr. Sean Murphy. And I'm like, oh, every week I get to see somebody who's like me, because he will just say, he'll be in the operating room and he'll say, my wife thinks that we have sex too many times a week, or my wife thinks we don't have sex enough time a week. And everybody in the operating room is shocked, but that's what autistic people do. We don't filter out how it's going to be. And so this skill of empathy, because you asked, like, we get someone and their dog died, or their mom died, or their son died, or whatever, I desperately want to help them, and I desperately want to make them happy. I want them to find the hidden blessing, and hopefully they'll get there. But to your original point is, we have to know they need to go through that grieving process. And the hardest thing for me, let me not affirm that, cancel that. In the past, the hardest thing for me might have been to just realize, no, just shut up and hold their hand and just be there for them and just listen to them. My brother just died about
yes.
2.5
I was
weeks.
actually gonna, classic. I was actually gonna call you about that. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I had to just call my mom and just let her talk.
Yeah.
There's nothing I could do to help. Nothing except
Exactly.
let her talk.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's answering your question. What's the story of me that you thought of or you wanted to tell?
I don't know if you're gonna be left standing after this, but here we go.
Let me get the edit button ready.
No, I mean, I see myself in you a lot, because we have something similar in the way we sometimes communicate things, that we just pepper it with sarcasm,
Yeah, we use humor to diffuse difficult situations.
Exactly.
We both do that a lot.
Exactly, And something that I learned from you, you know, and from the work we had together is that you hated passive aggression, or being passive aggressive in communicating stuff. You know, you'd like to be bold, you know, and you know, Latin people are more like, you know, more salsa like, they don't, you just want to need to be liked, you know, and Americans are more like this, you know. For example, just quick story. I was talking to my lawyer in the United States, and he said we're gonna have a 15-minute meeting talking about my life, you know, my views and all that stuff. You know, 15 minutes. There's not such a thing in Latin community like 15 minutes meeting.
Yeah.
And I asked questions, you know, and he was like, yes, no, we cannot do that. He didn't have to do it. And I loved it. It was 13 minutes. I was like, cool, you know? So to the story, we were in a meeting, and there were 3 of us. We're going to protect the innocent here. Let's call it Tommy and Gina, like our friend John Bon Jovi. But actually they were both guys, you know, so maybe Gina just went the other way. And you were in the big screen, you know. And this guy talked for 45 minutes with a huge presentation that actually I knew he was trying to send a message across to you, you know, but that's 45 minutes of not nonsense, but information that wasn't required to solve a problem that we were having. And you were there for 45 minutes listening, you know, and I was looking at you saying, it's amazing that this guy has the respect to hear this amount of horse shit or irrelevant shit, you know, because we were here for something else. And then this guy finished the 45-minute keynote, and you were like, I live in Miami, as you know, and I live in a building. My floor is, and I know this, the way you said it, because I've told this story so many times.
I remember this.
No, I live in the 12th floor. Actually, it's supposed to be the 13th floor, but for, you know, the sake of luck, the people who believe in lucky numbers or not, 13th floor just is removed. So I'm in the 12th floor, you know. And I was thinking about that all during the presentation, because I was thinking, what would happen if I open the window and I jump to the road, because I just wanted to kill myself because of this 45 minutes. And I was like, first of all, the guy who was making the presentation, who is an important guy, you know, a guy you shouldn't say that, since this is a guy with power, oligarch power, you know. I was like, my mind was between 2 things. Is this guy gonna basically send a missile because he has contacts to Miami? And the other side is, what a perfect, you know, storytelling with a great punchline of a sarcastic response with the touch of a hammer, you know. So this was a craftsmanship of sarcasm, you know, in a like a stand-up comedy. Like, I mean, who's that guy? The Jewish comedy guy? No, George Carlin would have been very proud of this guy if he was alive. So yes, you're bold, and that touch of sarcasm, sometimes unnecessary.
Yes,
But
and I
when
will
you
own
are,
that. I will own that.
You know, but if you are in the stands watching the crossfire, it's fun, you know. But maybe it's not for the benefit of the issue at hand.
Yeah, and that is, you know, the blessing of being autistic is we have a gift for seeing things other people don't. And the curse of it is we have no patience for stuff like that. And even and there's a cultural thing too, which I've, you know, it's been really good for me doing so much work in Latin America. In America, we would think nothing of walking up to the concierge in our condo and saying, do I have any packages? If you do that in Mexico or Colombia or Uruguay, it's basically like walking up and slapping someone in the face.
Totally. Bad manners.
Yeah, because you didn't say good morning first or hi first.
Hello, how are you, Flavio? What's up? How's the kids? Yeah. Do I have a package? Like asking for a favor, you know?
Yeah. And so that was really good for me to see that. And now I notice it so much, and I'm just shocked. I always sit in the aisle of the airplane, and so there's always a person in the window seat, and before you take off, the flight attendant will often come and ask to hang up your jacket, and then when you land, they'll bring it back and hand it. So I'm just shocked how many times the guy next to me is some power businessman executive, won't say hi, won't say thank you. They just hand it to them, or they say, you know, they'll hit the thing and say, are you picking up the coats? And they're just, even toll booth. I always say hi at the drive-through window when I get to the window before I give them the money. I always say hi. We don't actually give money to toll people anymore. It's always electronic. But even 5 years ago, we still had it. And I couldn't imagine handing somebody a bill and not speaking, but I'm in cars with people. I was in cars with people all the time that didn't happen. I think somebody you and I both know near and dear to our heart, Alvaro. Alvaro Zuniga Benavides.
Yeah.
I'm going down. He's the CEO of a company down there in Peru. I'm going down with him. We go in the office in the morning, and he walks in and he kisses the first woman at the reception thing. Then he kisses the next woman in the next office. He kisses the one in the third. There's like 11 women working in the office. He kisses each one. There's 10 men. He hugs each one. I'm watching all this as a gringo, and I'm saying, if this guy comes to the United States, he's going to be sued for sexual harassment. This company will get closed down. But that's just, I mean, even to this day, I'm sure if you got an email from him, at the bottom of the email, it says un abrazo, which means a hug, right? In America, if you sent, because this is a business relationship. If you send an email to somebody and it says a hug at the bottom, they want to know if you're hitting on them, and then two, they want to know what lawyer can they call to start a sexual harassment lawsuit. There's so much. That's what I love about working in Latin America and particularly as a emotionally challenged person as I was for so many years. I think that was really helpful for me working in Latin America. So much work I do down there now.
And in Argentina, it's even, I mean, I would say worse, but we are not talking about a scale of badness. It's even more curious because Argentinians come from Italy, a lot of them. So my mother-in-law, which you knew, she's Italian, you know, and so here it's more touchy, you know. Guys, everybody, the first time I met my father-in-law, we kissed. That in the United States would have been impossible, you know. We laugh a little bit about when two women shake their hands like this. Hello. You know, I'm like, what? what's that? 3 feet away. Is there still a virus there? What the fuck? And here, when Alvaro comes, people comes to him, hey, Alvaro, kiss in the cheek, kiss in the cheek, kiss in the cheek. And you have a little bit more, closeness to
And I'm trying to remember, isn't Argentina the one where it's 3 kisses?
No, that's France. Oh no, Russia or some other.
Okay, yeah, there's somewhere I go where it's left, right, left. You have to kiss them 3 times.
Well, no, in Italy, it's 2 times. So that's why here, when the family, because my family-in-law, they say hi to each other. They, ¿cómo está tutti? No, like this. They don't do it with me because I explicitly say it's a lot of time. Hello, because we have the big house. So every Sunday, like every Italian family, we have the big table. They come like 9 at a time. It's 7 minutes of touchy. Okay, let's go, guys. One. Da, 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 da. But it's very funny, because here there's a lot of hello, like touching the cheek, or my father-in-law, there's a flea.
Hey, Alexa, stop music. Got a little Van Morrison sidetrack. I don't know. I think, there's a part where artificial intelligence achieves singularity and they surpass human knowledge and they have understanding. And I think Alexa just decided she wants to hear Van Morrison. So she started. There's no one in the house except me. And she just
read me wrong. She read me wrong. I hate Van Morrison.
let me tell her. Hey, Alexa, stop music. Alexa. It was Siri, not Alexa. That was my problem.
The 2 women in your life.
The new world of tech, right?
So it's so funny how cultures work.
That culture thing about network marketing, here's what I love is it just, we learn so much about the world. I can give it my team together and I have women in burqas and, Muslims and Jews and Christians and atheists and Catholics and, Vietnamese. We used to be at war. We had a war with Vietnam, right? And then I'm sitting backstage at my convention and we do a parade of diamonds who go in and we all have our flags. And so I was next to the Vietnamese diamonds who are in my team. And I'm like, God, because I'm old enough, that was in the 70s, right? I was around then and I remember the Vietnam War. And now here we are together holding flags, working as a thing. So I had this amazing leader in Malaysia, a woman who's really sharp and young and pretty sexy. And we were opening up Indonesia, which is the largest Muslim population in the world. Pretty conservative, and women are wearing burqas there and stuff. And so, and I know my leader, she's, she might wear a skirt that's a little short, something. So I tell her, listen, we're going to Indonesia. I think you should wear a pantsuit. The culture there is different. She said, you're right. I didn't even think of that. That's what I'm going to do. So we go, and there's a couple whose diamonds from another line there. So the company is officially opening Indonesia, and I'm there representing my line, and this other couple is representing the other diamond line that was in the company. And they're young, and she shows up wearing a sleeveless dress with a very short skirt at the bottom of the, whatever you call the bottom of the dress. And I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. Because all the, we do the meeting, and I mean, literally every woman in the room is wearing a burqa with the, the head cover, face cover, everything. And this other line, they get, my lady and I speak and we do the thing, and then this couple comes up, and we had a product that was like a libido product for women. And so she gets up and she starts talking about this product, and she said, guys, your women are gonna feel sexy. How many of you, and she's waving her bare arms up, how many of you would like your women to feel sexy? And it's just silence. Just, I mean, it's like from the stage, it's like looking at a room full of owls. They're just all staring at us. And I want to crawl into a hole. But that's, one of the cool parts of our business is that we get to discover those other cultures and customs, and and we need to learn them. You go to Asia, somebody gives you a business card and you put it in your pocket. That's like slapping them in the face. It's insulting to them. If you just take it with one hand, it's insulting. When they give you a business card, you should take it with two hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That I remember when you came to Argentina. I mean, for an American to come to Argentina, well, actually for a Peruvian to come to Argentina, because we don't kiss guys in the cheek when we meet them. For the past, before the pandemic, it was 4 years I was here, so we had the weekly event. Do you know how it was for me? Every time they introduced me to a guest, I had to kiss the guy. What? Hello, this is Erick Gamio, Double Blue Diamond. So it was like, and when you came here, we were like, hey, do not kiss the gringo, okay? Please. Go. Because I know you, and besides the culture difference, I look at you as Johnny Depp. It's a shyness. It's a curious shyness. On stage, there's no shyness, but it's seeing you at dinner parties, rocking in a corner.
Yeah.
I remember we were in Mexico, and in DF, a lot of people, and suddenly, everybody came coming up to you, to us, shaking hands, and then you weren't there. And actually Mary called, she was in Buenos Aires. Hey, how are you doing? I'm looking for a Randy. I'm gonna take him out, take him out of the event. Why? He's hiding somewhere. I know where he is, because I was gonna hide there too, because we just need a little bit of space with all these people coming up to. I mean, we couldn't even eat at the table, I remember.
Yeah.
But first I'm gonna get an SUV. We had SUVs for each of the leaders. I'm gonna take them out. And I remember I went to the production office, and there was all the computers, people with flyers, the production classic office of an event, and you were there in a chair, looking to the floor. And I told you, hey, I remember this perfectly. I got an SUV outside. We'll leave in 2 minutes. You were like this. You're a good man. And we got the hell out of there even before the party started. We did our job. We love people. But we need our suite. For ourselves. Catch a movie, go to sleep.
Yeah, people don't understand that if you're an extrovert, you gain energy from the audience. If you're an introvert, you lose that. You give the energy to the audience. And so after I'm, me, when I'm on stage, put a quarter in the jukebox, man, I'm ready to go. Put 10,000 people, hand me the mic, and I can. But when I get off that stage, I need 3 hours to decompress, and just process and get my mental harmony, my energy back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you seen the video of John Bon Jovi in a wedding?
No.
Because he's, the quintessential rock star, 30,000 people every night for 40 years. But he was in a wedding, and there was a little wedding, in the backyard, some place, and he was in the table, and there was a band, and the band started singing "Living on a Prayer." They did a good job, and if you're this, and there was a girl, there was a chick that was a singer of this cover band, and John Bon Jovi was in the front row, so everybody was thinking, even me watching the video, the girl is gonna grab John Bon Jovi, and he goes to John, my friend John, and it's like, "Oh, you halfway there," and John is like, you cannot hear his voice, but it's like you got it, yeah. Yeah. And Dorothy, his wife, is there, and she knows, like, he's going through hell, and but she's enticed. I mean, the singer, she's enticing him, to, like, I mean, maybe she knows she's bugging him, but that's one in a lifetime opportunity. You gotta get to sing John Bon Jovi with John Bon Jovi in a wedding of your friend, so fuck it,
Right,
why
right.
did you do that song?
Right,
So
right.
this is my time to shine, motherfucker. And he's like, yeah, and everybody, and he went, and sang. He was like, he grabbed the mic like this, and he just became John Bon Jovi. I was afraid he was not gonna be able to sing, because he's singing like shit today, but he did it. Put John Bon Jovi wedding, and you're gonna see his face of okay.
So we have a ex-football quarterback who's a broadcaster now, Terry Bradshaw. He was won the 3 Super Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers back in the day, and he's a broadcaster now on Fox. So they had Paul McCartney doing the halftime show years ago, and so they brought McCartney into the booth to do the interview with the broadcasters. So Bradshaw gets him to sing a Beatles song with him, which, again, you could tell, like, McCartney was not buying into this. Yeah. Bradshaw was just totally in his face, in his space. It was totally out of line. He got crucified on social media and the regular media for doing it. And he's just like,
it's my moment.
I had a chance to sing with a Beatle, and I took it. And I don't give a fuck what anyone else says. And you got to respect that in a way. Although I would hate, because I'm the guy who hates, and I have this magnet whenever I'm at any concert, any show, and Universal Studios, Disney World, whatever, every show they pick someone from the audience and they bring them on stage, and I have some magnet that they pick me. And every dancer who comes, and like, all the women are going to come and pick one man from the audience and bring him on stage to hula dance at the luau in Hawaii. It's like, I somehow I have to fix that. I have to create a bug repellent that works in those situations, because I don't know. I'm the one they pick. So you brought up you brought up Bon Jovi. I sent you a voice note, and I said, oh my God, I just discovered this band, Måneskin. Check them out. Rock and roll isn't dead yet. And for you guys who don't know, Erick is a brilliant headbanger, guitar player, you know, Guns N' Roses, Poison, you know, the heavy metal, you know, hair band stuff from the 80s and the 90s and whatever. And he's a brilliant guitarist who, and total rock and roll zombie. So I told you, rock and roll isn't dead. Check out this band. And you wrote back, I know rock and roll isn't dead because we have, and then you said the name of a woman that nobody in the world would expect a headbanger rocker to say. You remember that?
My dear Billie Eilish. I love her. I mean, and I mean, rock and roll for me, not as a listener, but as a creator, because I mean, wait, here I think it is. This is my album. This is a tiger, and my band Natura, which is ironically a direct selling company in Brazil. But I didn't know that, you know.
Who happily I can say is a client of mine.
And but for me, rock and roll is a way of doing stuff, a way of the energy, the aggression, you know, the wit, the grit of creating music and executing that music in a way. That's why I was all in for NWA to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because those guys are, Ice Cube is rock and roll as fuck. You know?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's what a dent in the universe they have made.
Of course, you know, and I love those guys. So they critique them a lot for being, you know, nominated, you know, before the Cranberries, you know. But and I love the Cranberries also. But I mean, I was in the mastermind event 2 hours before I had to get on stage, and I went backstage and talked to Wes, I think, and the other British guy that was in charge of things. I don't know. He was
Probably
British.
Malcolm.
Malcolm. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be well. Yeah. 2 hours sharp. No, like 8:15. You go on stage. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my room and check my presentation. You know, get on the flow. But suddenly, I heard Dana Collins talking to Art Jonak, which is also a music fan. He just texted me the other day the documentary of Duff McKagan. So we were, you know, and they were talking about this girl, Billie Eilish. And I was like, who is Billie Eilish? And Dana Collins, which is a music fan, you don't know who Billie Eilish is? If I don't know her, it's because she doesn't exist in rock and roll. Who is Billie Eilish?
And I walked up to the conversation at exactly that point to hear you say that, by the way.
And she told me, go to your room and find her. So Billie Eilish, she says she's the coolest kid. Everybody in high school would have been, you know, happy to, I mean, incredibly like to be friends with. She's the coolest person in the planet right now. And this is 2018, okay? Yeah, or 19, no, 2019. I went back to my room, Billie Eilish. I discover bands not on Spotify. I don't want to hear how they can record. I don't give a shit about their recording. I want to see them live, how they execute. When I see them, they can play, they can sing, and they can execute their art. Then I'll go to see how they recorded it with 1,000 gadgets and technology that can actually, you know, disguise the lack of talent. Always discover the band in the live setting. So I put Billie Eilish.
Can literally take an out of tune singer and put them in tune.
Exactly. So, you know, I put Billie Eilish on YouTube, and I heard She was in a concert in Milan. That was in that year. And she started singing this song, Bad Guy. The lyrics, the execution, it's so aggressive, but she sings like this. So the paradox of her softness in singing and the aggression, with no distortion in the guitar, it was like, what is going on? It's a non-distorted guitar, a whispering singer, but this is fucking metal. And it's truthful, it's sincere, So I spent 2 hours watching Billie Eilish videos. I guess I get goosebumps just talking about that girl. So I went back to the mastermind, not knowing what the fuck to say because I didn't watch my presentation. I could just sing Bad Guy a lot. So I heard, and that's why I think, and then, is it just me who is in awe of this girl? And when I came back from my mastermind speech, I heard an interview of Gene Simmons. For the idiots out there, he's a singer of Kiss. Sorry, not idiots, ignorant, but idiot. She is Kiss. And Dave Grohl talking about Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's not me. I'm not saying she's rock and roll. Everybody's okay, because I was afraid of calling my friends in the chat group saying, I just found the new Nikki Sixx. And she's a 17-year-old broad. But I love her. And she's gonna come to Argentina in a couple of weeks to the Lollapalooza, that was actually a grunge festival in '92, and now it's whatever who can get into the Build festival. But I'm gonna watch her, and I'm such a fan.
I love it. Yeah, I'm just shocked at the talent. I'm absolutely addicted to talent shows.
I know.
You think you could dance, American Idol, the X Factor stuff, and it's astounding the level of sophistication 15, 16, and 17-year-old kids. They're winning some of those shows, and they're coming in second place, third place, and other times should win them. And I'm just saying, that's not possible. It's like, I'm a big Johnny Lang fan since when he was like 16 years old. For those of you who don't know, you got to Google Johnny Lang, blues guitarist. And at 16 years old, he was singing like he had been smoking 2 packs of Camel and drinking a bottle of Jack every day for the last 30 years. He just had that, I don't know, the like that voice of just amazing. And he was like 16, 17, and a virtuoso with the guitar. It's just they're people like Billie Eilish, they're freaks of nature. They just have a presence on stage that, it's like, I've spoken to more than 2 million people. I'm in the Speaker Hall of Fame. I've spoken in 52 countries so far. I know a little something about presence on a stage, and it took me 30 years to develop that. And these 16-year-old kids, 15-year-old kids, 17-year-old kids they're just naturals at it. It's the presence, the gravitas, it's astonishing, really, just astonishing.
Yeah, and the talent, and she's so down to earth, she won, 10 Grammys. She just won an Oscar for the Bond movie song. And the cool thing is that they asked her, would you ever have imagined I mean, that you will actually write a Bond song, you know? I mean, where do you start? Do you know what her answer was? I wrote 4 songs for the Bond song for Bond when I was 14. I
Oh,
just picked one.
wow.
I just picked
Amazing.
one because
Amazing.
I didn't know I was going to do it. I'm a musician, and I was with my brother, and I was like, hey, let's make Bond songs. You know, oh, this is the drama, you know, and another day to die, you know, and dying it's not. And then, well, when we picked one of when I did when I was a kid, and Hans Zimmer came into a little bit of an arrangements, not too much because the song was done, and we put it out. Hans fucking Zimmer, you know?
Well, and her brother is a bona fide genius in his
A
own
great
right. He
genius,
is
you know? I mean,
just, I mean,
those guys, I mean, Paul McCartney, Trent Reznor, you know, those guys that produce, you know, I don't know. I was thinking about Billie Holiday from the Beatles. These guys, I mean, Phineas, his music sucks. I heard it in the airport because they told me, hey, but listen to Phineas himself. And that's the cool thing about artists. Sometimes alone, they're not as good as combined with another to rebound the genius, you know? His songs, yeah, pop songs, good, you know, interesting, talented. But with Billy, they're a force of nature. And mark my words, you know, Billie Eilish, you know, Madonna, Lady Gaga, you know, Barbara Streisand, they're in the same plateau. You know, that's why I heard Gene Simmons talking about Billie Eilish saying that's going to be an amazing journey to watch. You know,
yeah. Well, and the thing with Phineas is there are people that, I mean, the job of a producer is such creative genius of its own. And there's people like Pharrell,
yeah,
Rick Rubin. Back in the day before you were around, we had a guy in the 70s called Phil Spector.
of course I know Master Phil because he worked with the legend John Lennon in Double
Okay, so
Fantasy.
I thought maybe he was too early for you, but I mean, there's people like that just they bring the genius out of other people. That's what I feel is the talent that I want to cultivate the most, that I think is the best in our profession is, and I always say I really became successful after in network marketing after running a bunch of volunteer organizations where you can't hire and fire people. You have to inspire them to hang around. And I just, so like when I was running the Speakers Association, the way you were elected president of the Speakers Association is if you were out of town doing a speech when the vote was taken. They say, hey, Randy isn't here. He's in Detroit. Let's make him president because he's not here to turn it down. Because they lost money every year. The president would like lend money to the charity, you know, to the treasurer to mail out the renewal notices. I mean, and I was like, we're going to come in, we're going to build the membership, we're going to increase attendance at the meetings, we're going to get 1 year worth of budget in advance in the cookie jar, and we're going to make this a successful organization. That's what I'm going to do in my year as president. And I'm, you know, and every meeting I went around to 4 or 5 people and I say, you know, I think you could be, you're a candidate for leadership with the chapter. You know, I don't know if you're interested, but we're having a board of directors meeting after the regular meeting. If you would, I'd love to invite you to sit in because I think you'd be a good candidate. And basically the next 5 presidents came out of people that I invited and recognized. And the same thing with my church board. You know, we were a struggling church in a crack neighborhood in downtown Miami in the cocaine cowboy days of the 80s. When I first went, there were 11 people there. We turned that into a church with a couple thousand people coming every Sunday, and just hanging from the chandeliers, doing 3 services a day on a Sunday. But it was grooming the next generation of leaders. And then that is the gift that I still try to hone so much every day in our profession is, we have to recognize the greatness in people before they know it themselves.
And I think adding to that point is to letting them shine, because you talk about duplication, and an army of volunteers, duplicating activities, simple activities. But there's a guy in our company. He's a good guy. You know him, but we're not gonna say his name. He's a good guy, but he's kind of like a general, and he wants everything to be exactly like he wants. And even in the middle meeting we had a couple of weeks before, the way to speak, the way to dress, and the way to conduct ourselves in public, because of duplication. And I raised my hand and said, duplication has its limits and should have its limits. Duplication for me is about the system, not the person. No, because he wanted us to start dressing like before in suits and stuff. If you tell me to cut my hair, stop using t-shirts with a skull and all stars in my presentations, you're gonna mold me into something I'm not.
It's gonna neuter you. It's gonna gonna neutralize you.
And I don't care about me, but the audience doesn't want to see the same guy every 25 minutes in the presentation. They want to see the crazy guy. They want to see the lovely lady. They want to see the lady that is sexy. They got to see the brother who is semi-autistic and sharp and sarcastic. Then the guy that dresses like a heavy metal clown. And then there, so that's inclusion that can be ripped off with duplication, But yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. You got to let people be themselves. And as you say, discover their talent, but let the talent shine in the sincere way. Imagine like Katy Perry, they wanted, Katy Perry can be the next Avril Lavigne, they said. And she responded, I want to be the first Katy Perry.
They wanted Greg Allman. Nobody listening is going to know who that is, but they wanted Greg Allman to put on a pair of tights and put a sock in his tights and be a glitter rocker. I mean, there is I have a guy on my team who came from one of the old school companies, and he was tatted up from his whole body. I mean, it's from his wrist, chest, everything. He has tattoos everywhere on his body but his face. And he came from a company, and they told him, you never come to an event without long sleeves. You're never going to sponsor anybody if you show those tattoos. You need to cut your hair. You need to. And that was, and I'll own it that when I started in the business, I bought into it.
Me too.
You ask anyone in my team and they'll tell you, everybody in my team, and particularly the leaders, we were all wearing $8,000 bespoke suits with $1,500 ties and, $5,000 shoes. And, because that was the thing then. And it's like I told him, and so I started kind of going without a tie, and then I was wearing earrings, and guys just didn't wear earrings in the United States, especially, and being on stage. And my response was, and I like the company would come to me and say, well, you're speaking at the event and you're wearing these earrings, and and I said, listen, let me explain how this works. When you're poor, and you're a guy on stage wearing earrings, you're just gay. Okay, but when you make $125,000 a month, like I do, and you wear earrings, then you're an eccentric genius. This is how it works. I paid the dues to get to the point I'm at, and I'm going to embrace who I am. And the people who say, but here's an example. I'm traveling somewhere, I'm at an event, and I get a frantic email from my new team in Indonesia after this aforementioned meeting. It's now a couple months later. I've got like 500 people on the team in Indonesia. I get a message from them, from my top guy there in Medan, I think is the city. He says, listen, we have a huge problem. The company just sent out a newsletter, an email, and they showed the CEO giving a $5,000 check in Israel to a charity. And the team needs the company to apologize for giving money to Jews and going to Israel. And they're all going to quit. So I need to know, what do I tell them? So I wrote back and I said, I was actually on that trip in Israel. That was the work of our foundation that we do. And that money went to kids in Israel. And I personally gave some more money myself. And please let everybody in the team know, if they are that prejudiced, they shouldn't be on my team. Just send in their resignations, and I'm happy with it, because I don't want anybody in my team with that kind of hateful prejudice. And he took that back to the group, and they all decided, you know what? That was probably a good thing the company gave the money to those kids. And they all stayed. But how many people would have caved in that situation? Say, oh my God, I got a new line. There's hundreds of people there. I don't want to lose that. No, there's some things, there's lines you don't cross, and that kind of shit, I don't need that in my organization anywhere. The Jews got a problem with the Muslims got a problem with the Jews. I'm openly gay. I have many fundamentalist people in my teams, and some of them may have issues with it. But that's who I am. I'm not going to lie and try to be someone I'm not. And the truth is, I don't know what I have just like, it's like there has to be a God, because God has a sense of humor, because almost every client I have is a fundamentalist religious person. Like they're either a devout Muslim, or they're a Bible-thumping Christian, evangelical, whatever. And they tell me, Randy, we're praying for you, and we know you're going to be healed. But I've built a body of work and demonstrated my value that they say, we got to bring this guy in to work with our company. And so I'm having lunch with the CEO early in my career, one of the very first, probably second or third company, fourth company I've ever consulted with. We're having lunch, me and the CEO, we've got the convention kicking off that night. And he says, so do you have a girlfriend? Does she ever travel with you? Am I ever going to meet her? Do you ever bring her like to speeches? And I said, well, I don't have a girlfriend, but I have a boyfriend, and sometimes he comes to speeches, so you might meet him. And he was like, you're kidding, right? I'm like, no, I'm not kidding. You're not kidding. No. And then he just looked down at his plate, and he just ate his food, and he couldn't say another word. And he went up to the room, and he called the vice president, and he said, I just had lunch with Randy. He's gay. What do we do? And she's like, you didn't know Randy was gay? You knew? Yeah. She's like, of course I knew. How clueless are you? It turned out he had been molested by a scoutmaster when he was young. So he was very homophobic. So he was very, right? So then so we got to have a three-way call between him, the vice president, and me, and figure out how to handle this situation. So he says, what are we going to do if the leaders find out that you're a homosexual? And I said, you mean like Anne and David? Yeah. And Billy, and I forgot his wife's name. And there were two brothers, Dennis and his brother. I said, you mean like if they find out? He said, yeah. I said, they all know that. I'm friends with all those people. You know, they've been to dinner with my boyfriend. And he was like, they know this? Because he just thought if people learned that, they would quit, because that was the belief in that time. And there's still people who believe that. I mean, I have promoters who, I have two books that were bestsellers in Iran. All right. The biggest one was the #1 selling book in Farsi in Iran. So I get these promoters who call me up and say, well, you have to look at my Instagram account. I have 70,000 people in there who are posting in Farsi. I have a huge, because Twitter and Facebook are banned in Iran. But they didn't ban Instagram. So I have all these followers on Instagram. Right. So I get these promoters, you got to come to Iran. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to Iran, because in Iran, there is a government who would put me in prison and people who would throw me off a rooftop. That's just a reality. And this is 2023. There are people who would throw me off a rooftop because of my sexuality. There are people who will throw you off of a rooftop because of your religion. There are people who will throw you off a rooftop because of your ethnicity. That's a reality of the world. But, I don't want that in my team. My team is a team of inclusion and acceptance. And I have all faiths, all religions, all ethnicities. And, like I say, so how many of my friends now are devout Mormons? A lot. I do business. My two different business ventures I'm in right now are Jewish people. All my clients were fundamentalist Christian. You know what? We all get along amazing because we look past that stuff. And I think that's one of the gifts of our profession, is that we bring that kind of inclusivity into the mix.
Absolutely. And I love that about the profession. Well, a profession is filled with people, so you're going to have a lot of different people, that maybe have some kind of prejudice about religion or sexuality, or even are very how do you say the machismo?
Macho.
Yeah, but I mean that
you mean probably misogynistic.
Yeah, like a guy that wouldn't let her wife be in a network marketing company because he wouldn't accept that the woman, was going to bring money to the table and make him look like an
we
idiot.
Would call that misogynistic or sexist, either one.
Misogynistic. Yeah. And there's a lot of that in Latin America, not Argentina, Uruguay, or Chile, but the others are very like that. And I've worked with a lot of companies consulting, which are just for women, like Natura, for example. And it's very hard for them in places like Mexico to bring money to the table, and not make their husband feel less, because they belong to the kitchen or something. That's how we do. And hey, I got to flee. I hear the door knocking. One of my daughters trying to sneak in right now, trying to get a hold of me.
Doesn't she know we just started? We have another 11 things on the list. We've been barely going, 3-4 hours only? All right. I'm ready for a break anyway. So let's wrap this up, and let's do another one sometime, because there are a lot of things we could do. First of all, most all of your work is in Spanish. But for people who speak Spanish, let them know where to find you, or anything you have in English, that English speaking people, where do they find you?
Well, in Spanish, they can find me in any platform, social media platform. Just type in Erick with a CK Gamio, and they'll find me. If they look, they're going to be there. And in English, I guess the only thing I have is my presence in the mastermind. So, and I'm thinking of going to Turkey to the, yeah.
Yeah, so
when I saw that,
that's mastermindevent.com.
.com.
They have a program you join, and they have an archive of material, and Erick is in that archive.
Exactly. So they can find me there. And I was so happy to be here. We've been here almost 3 hours, and it felt like 3 minutes. It's amazing. We've talked about, we haven't talked like face to face for a long time, because every time I go to Miami, you are somewhere else in the world, you know, speaking, being not shy in a stage.
All right. Well, first of all, just thank you for this conversation and the wisdom, insights, knowledge you shared. Any last thoughts you want to say to the people around the universe?
Go listen to Billie Eilish right now. And the only thing is not to sound cliche, you know, but it's lend your ears to this kind of conversations. I learned this new word, there's eavesdropping, you know, in these kind of conversations, open mic conversations. We can talk about a lot of stuff, but always question everything. No, we are not owners of the truth. We are just owners of our opinions and experiences, and just use it as a trampoline to gain your own perspective of whatever we've been talking in here.
Amen to that. You guys watching, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and go down in the comments and tell us what you think, and give us your questions for the next time when I'm getting it together, chopping it up with ... Erick Gamio. Peace.
Bye.